Conversations with Kerrie, and today I'm having a conversation with Susan Ferraro, who I recently saw on the She Means Business show with Carrie Green, and the conversation around manifesting was something that really spoke to me, and a form of manifesting I'd never heard of before. So it's rare, it's out there, but it totally exists within my own soul. So I wanted to share more of Susan's wisdom. So thank you for coming, Susan.
Thank you for having me, Kerrie. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so first of all, let's start with just hearing a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a burnt out, pissed off design director of US brand Kate Spade, who transformed into a coach, a speaker, and creator of two powerful programs, the Easy Peasy Law of Attraction and Easy Money.
Yeah, so I didn't always do what I'm doing now, which is the coaching and the speaking and the teaching. And for years, I was a fashion designer in the design industry here in the US. And I created a lot of success using the law of attraction and mindset. And I had gotten into the law of attraction from a fairly young age, around 18 or 19. I realized that the visualization that I had been doing all my life, there was a name for it. And, shortly after that, a few years later, The Secret came out. So I was realizing, oh my God, what I'm doing naturally, there is a name for. And so I started to get more into it. And as I did, I was also moving into the design industry, and I would use what I was learning to deliberately create the career that I wanted. And I did. I climbed the corporate ladder really, really fast in record time. I was making multiple six figures. I had the glam apartment in New York City. I was traveling the world. I had a shopping budget. Like if Instagram existed back then, I always say it would have made a great Instagram profile. Yeah. But when I finally got to design director, which it was like, once I would create something and I would attain it, then it was like, okay, well, what's next? Well, once I get there, then I will feel free. Really, it was freedom deep down that I was looking for, even though I didn't have the self-awareness then that I have now. And I got to the point where I had the job title I wanted. I was making the money. I had everything that I deliberately created for myself. And I realized that I didn't want any of it. I was really burnt out from the way that I was living, the way that I was working, and I didn't have the time or the energy to enjoy any of the money that I was making or the lifestyle that I created. And so I finally left that industry in 2012, very burnt out and pissed off, as I say. And I was just really frustrated, like, what am I missing? Why was I able to create all of this stuff? Why am I still not happy? So I had to really go inside, and, what I now call the red zone it's kind of that pattern where we go all or nothing pattern, where we'll push ourselves, and then we have to go out for a really long time and recover because we pushed ourselves. For me, it was in work, but we can do it in any area of life. And that's what was happening to me. So as I left the industry, I needed recovery time. And then I had so many health issues due to the burnout and the way that I was living. I went into the health coaching industry. And as I started doing that, I realized I was dreading my appointments. And the appointments that I did like, the clients that I loved, were the ones where it started, we would go back and be talking about the law of attraction, or like making their dreams come true, and so I decided I was just going to bite the bullet and go all in with that, even though I had no idea how I was going to make money talking about the law of attraction. I knew The Secret was out there, but I was like, could I really be a law of attraction coach or a mindset coach? And I started to just really follow my inspiration. And I shouldn't make it sound so easy, because it wasn't that easy. There were plenty of times where I would get in my own way, but when things were working out for me, it was because I was trusting and following that inspiration and that guidance, versus when I would get in my own way with, start overthinking things or try to make money, or, I would create a lot of stress for myself. And from that point on, in the coaching industry, my products started to become, I say started to become developed because they were really coming through me. And it was really a process of being in flow that my products and programs were being created. You know, I would have flashes of insights and downloads, and, you know, really every morning that would be my writing time, things would come through and it would happen like that, you know, and it was easy. It didn't feel hard. It wasn't forced. I could make it very hard, which I did numerous times. But if I just left it alone and let those things come out and put them out, even if I didn't think they were ready, that's what I started to do. I would have group coaching programs. These programs were coming together. And that's really how I ended up with my 2 core programs, almost kind of like levels. Like Easy Peasy LOA was a foundational law of attraction piece, where I was looking back at my life thinking, like what we were talking about earlier, you know, why does it work sometimes but not others, and sorting that out. And then the easy money piece came over the next few years, where that was really about learning how to live in surrender, basically.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, because I have heard you speak about just follow your inspiration. And I was going to say, and because that, as much as that's a soul process, it's often different for individuals, where people comes in different ways. So I was going to ask you, how does that look for you? How can people recognize when they're receiving inspiration, as opposed to, oh, they've had a thought, and then they've got into, you know, pushing or trying to make it happen.
Right. And you can feel the difference in your body, because inspiration is always going to feel light. You're going to feel alive. You're going to feel excited. You're going to feel a sense, even if you don't feel alive and passionate and excited, you'll feel a sense of calm. You'll feel a sense of peace. You'll feel a sense of fulfillment as you follow through. When you are creating something from the mind and you're thinking it, and really it's coming from the ego, right? So as business owners, you're in the online business world. You might think, not you, but the collective you, we might think that, okay, I'm going to do this webinar and I need to say these things in the right way to get the right people to sign up so they buy my program. And we start trying to manipulate the process by, you know, what's the right thing to say. And we might be inspired, but we don't trust that. I can't really say that. That sounds crazy, or that sounds, you know, that doesn't make sense. So we don't say that, and we try to manipulate what we think we should say, and then it falls flat, right? Whereas if you follow, just let out what wants to come through you, it's easier than when you're trying to manipulate and force things and overthink things. Your energy starts to drain. It starts to feel forced. You start to feel like your eyes are going to pop out of your head because you've been sitting at the computer screen for so long, right? Whereas inspiration is quick. It's a flash, like an idea. And even though it might be coming through you and you might be there for 2 hours writing, because it was just wanted to come through you, you feel a sense of energy after it versus, oh my God, you know, this is sucking the soul out of me, which is what so many of us do.
And it's so true, because I know I've had very distinct moments where I can sit and do a piece of marketing or whatever, and then I am just completely exhausted after it. And so, but I'm aware enough to question that,
exactly.
Okay, where is that coming from? Why is that happening? Because it shouldn't be in that way, you know? So
and there's nothing wrong with marketing. I want to make that very clear. I'm not bashing. I love marketing. It's psychology. I think it's wonderful, but you can create it from 2 different places.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's such an important conversation to have with you, is because we can create and manifest from 2 different places. We can create from that mindset, which, you know, you've had that experience of doing. Or you can create from soul. And they are 2 very different processes, aren't they?
Right. And they don't, and the outcome that you end up with doesn't necessarily look like what you think it should. And the hows definitely don't look like what you think they should. So we get nervous because it's completely unknown, but I promise you that it's always going to be better than what you thought it should be. I always say the universe is smarter than us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be the so if someone was watching this video and
Mhm.
they were you know, in that space of, you know, they're trying to manifest, they're doing all the mindset positivity, and they really sitting in that space going, you know what, you know, I'm trying this, but I just feel like I'm stuck, or I feel like it's not working, or like you said, it works with some things and not others. What would be your first step to say to them to break that cycle? What would be the first thing?
Well, if we go into just kind of foundational manifestation, that's like my first program that I was talking about, Easy Peasy LOA. And I
Yeah.
actually have 6 steps that guide people. And it's not just 6 steps to what you want. It's really a system for when something's not working out or showing up for you, you know which step to go. You're like, okay, you know, I've done this, I've done this. Oh, I need a little work here. It kind of helps you course correct where maybe you're not fully allowing, basically. So the 6 steps are, the first step is to own it, right? You have to, first and foremost, you have to take responsibility for your experience of reality. Okay. That doesn't mean everything that happens in reality. It means your experience of it, your emotional experience, your response to it. Right. So once you're in ownership of that, right, then you're going to move on to get clear. And getting clear, I always say, wishy-washy requests get wishy-washy results. So a lot of times we don't think we're actually clear on what we want, but really we are clear. We just don't trust that we can have it, or we don't trust that, you know, it's possible for us or possible at all. So getting clear is all about getting really honest about what you truly want and why, because underneath every single desire is really an emotion. And under every single base level emotion, if you keep drilling down your emotions, you're going to get to really, I want peace, I want freedom, and I want happiness, the contentment, right? And so once you go through that process, then it comes down to a decision. So all manifestation is really deciding, right? You're deciding that this is what I want now. This is what I will see now. This is what I will experience now. And it can be that easy as a decision. I have made decisions and my manifestation has shown up like that, like instantly. That sometimes it takes time. You have to respect and trust the process, because trust that it's always going to be the path of least resistance if you get out of the way. So sometimes that might be really quick. Sometimes there might be things that need to fall into place for your manifestation to come about, right? So it's about deciding and committing. And once you do that, once you go all in on this manifestation or desire, then it's about believing it, right? Getting your mind aligned. And that's really about showing yourself the evidence, you know, the synchronicities. This is showing up, visualization, like keeping your mind on track. And this doesn't have to be a hard thing. It doesn't have to be work, right? So sometimes, like I said, the decision is enough. But if it's a big thing, you know, like your dream home that you're trying to manifest or something like that, you know, you want to have a clear visual of that. You want to look at what you got clear on and what you really want, what you really don't want. And you want to create that vision for yourself, or something even better, and let yourself feel what you would feel then, right? So that feeling and that vision is how we speak with our subconscious mind. So we can, you know, you can say all the affirmations that you want, but if your body isn't on board, your mind's not getting on board. Make sense?
Yeah. And
So, and that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I find at that point that that my guidance source tends to kick in and work with me to break down where I'm not feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
totally.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hear things like, you know, you need to live in elegance, or you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, just little things like that as I go about my day.
Mm-hmm.
I hear those kind of things.
Yeah, because when you decide you really want to, that's when you want to let go of the reins and focus on what your job is. So the next 3 steps in the 6, decide is number 3, believe it's number 4. Number 5 is to become it. So that's really about, you know, when people say act as if or behave as if, that's only going to work if it's in integrity, right? And that's where following your intuition and inspiration starts to come from, right? So if you want to see, receiving, people think we give to get. Like you always hear, what you put out is what you'll get back. And that's not actually true. And this is what makes this different than a lot of the other manifesting teachings that are out there. Is I don't teach like reflect or like attracts like, I teach like reflects like. So giving out positive vibes to everyone in the world, and being the nice person and doing the good things, you can clearly see in our society, in our world, that the good people don't get what, just because they're good doesn't mean they get what they want. Yeah. The bad people, right? Bad in quotes, just because they're bad doesn't mean they are punished. So the universe is not punishment reward. That's the ego, right? The ego works based on punishment reward. It works on a bartering system. Like if I give this much, I'll get this much back. It's not like that. It's a triangle, right? So whatever you are giving to yourself is what you will get back. So instead of saying, I want a really committed relationship, I want a committed partner who loves me, and then you go out there and you try to be super committed to your partner and you try to love them the way you want to be loved, and you keep not attracting someone who gives that back to you, they keep abandoning you or they keep betraying you, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? You're feeling drained and not alive in the relationship. I'm sure a lot of, us can relate to this, right? It's really because we're abandoning ourselves. So instead of doing that for them, do it for yourself. The universe will treat you as well as you treat yourself. So bring that back to you. How can I be more committed to myself? Where am I betraying myself? Where am I abandoning myself? And as you start to do that, your energy starts to shift from the inside out, and a different experience is reflected back to you. So you're no longer attracting that type anymore. Because if you're abandoning yourself, you're going to attract relationships, whether it's your boss or your significant other, even your children. You're going to attract relationships that recreate that emotional experience for you. So the trick is to handle it for yourself and then let that be reflected back to you. And then the sixth piece, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I hope there's like lots of women out there just hearing that and light bulb moments just going bang, 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 because I know for me, it's, and in what I teach, it's all about that balance of giving and receiving. And it is the biggest hurdle I see with women, being uncomfortable in allowing themselves to receive or to give to themselves. But it's a key component of being able to live the life that we want to live. It is. And being of service to ourselves first before of service to others.
100%. Yep. Yeah. That is, when you're following your inspiration, you actually are, that is the greatest, that your full self-expression is the greatest service to both yourself and others. It truly is. That is self-love. So every time you follow through on essentially what you truly want versus what you think you should do or you have to do, that is you not abandoning yourself. And that it's hard for us because of our early childhood traumas and things like that. We've learned that it's not safe to feel good, or it's not safe to put ourselves first, so we have to work through that to be able to do it. But you can start in small ways and just show yourself the evidence that really helps you get started.
I'm just my heart is just full right now because of just this moment in the conversation. So I really hope there's lots of people out there going bang bang. And just getting it just from that.
So if you look at believe it and become it, right? That's mind and body. That's what you are in control of. You're in control of your experience. You're in control of your perception, your lens, right? We're really not in control of much else. And that leads us to the sixth step, which is to let it go. And by letting it go, it's in my other program, Easy Money, I go deeper into all of this. And that is much more about releasing your traumas and, where rebuilding your value in yourself, where you handle things, and then letting I always say they can handle it. So whether that's team other side, your guides and your team on the other side, or team this side. You know, maybe you're just handing stuff off in your business to be delegated, or, you know, letting your kids take on more responsibility. There, it's about that shift in boundaries, you know, setting the boundaries for yourself of where you need to take care of you, and guarding your energy. But also, we always talk about boundaries in the sense that we're trying to, you know, learn to say no and say yes to ourselves. But there's a whole flip side to that too. It's also about letting go and stop crossing other people's boundaries, letting them learn to say no and yes to themselves as well. So it's about, you know, really rebalancing the masculine and the feminine polarities within us. And as we start to do that, and as we start to release that resistance, we return to a state of oneness, which is the state of allowing or feeling at ease. And that's where the term easy money comes from.
Beautiful. Like, it just, yeah, it is such a good structure, like a
Thank you.
foundational structure. Like, and as I said to you, like when I heard you speak with Kerrie, there was just this moment of, oh my God, you know, like there's someone else that
Resonance.
that sort of, yeah, resonance, that sees it how I see it. And it's I just wanted to share it because it really is just, it makes it more simple. It makes it feel like there's something that you can rely on.
Yeah. And it actually is really simple. Like in the end, after years of, you know, going through everything and doing that work on myself, and really, you know, working with other women on it and seeing, you know, what was really going on, like it just got more simple, like more refined, more simple. And it really is just down to the fact that the universe is going to treat you as well as you treat yourself. It really is that simple. And that goes, I was using relationships as an example, but you'll see it reflected in every area of your life, in your in your body, in your all of your relationships, in your money, in your business, you know, the way you treat your things, time, all of that is going to reflect how well you are valuing yourself, right? And money is a match to value. So when you're showing up in the world and you're sharing your gifts, you know, that is the most selfless thing you can do. When you show up and just, for me, I teach, right? So when I teach and just let whatever wants to come through me, and I'm just a vessel for that, that is actually the most selfless thing I can do, even though it feels better to me or easier to me, and I feel alive while doing it. It's the best feeling to me, and I prioritize that. It's actually the most selfless, because the self, the ego self, the personality that we create to keep us safe is dormant, right? We just let spirit come through.
Yeah.
And that's that is you valuing who you really are, right? And that's where you start to see the abundance. You're aligned with all that is in that moment. And the more you do that, the more you see abundance, opportunities coming all around you. You know, like it might not be the people that I'm teaching to, but then I have other people coming in, emailing me out of the blue, like, can I work with you? Or I want you to do my podcast, you know, things like that, because I'm in that state.
Yeah. And so where, I guess just one question that I have, just to share with people, where do you see destiny might fit in with this process? As in, like, I'm a believer that we do, at this point in time, I'm a believer that we have a spiritual pre-birth plan type of thing, you know, that there's a purpose or intention for who we are and what we're about. And say in your, you know, it, for me, it's no coincidence that you were naturally bringing through law of attraction, totally unaware, and became conscious of it at some point, so that you could then go on and teach that very process. So yeah, so where would you say destiny sort of?
So for me, I believe that there are a gazillion different potentials that we could. Every state that we're in, I look at as a lens, right? And you view a lens or view the world through that lens. So there are some people, I think we're all born in a state of oneness, right? And joy, you know, and it's our traumas, you know, that disrupt our nervous system and belief systems that keep us from allowing our full potential. But to me, purpose is joy. purpose is it's to expand. So I always look at it as like the universe is always expanding. The universe wants us to always expand. And that's when we feel the best, because we're aligned and in harmony with the universe. Whereas I don't think purpose is just one thing. So, or a job even. I feel like you could, as long as you are staying true to what your inspiration is and living your most expansive state, you're living your purpose. But then there are some people who, due to traumas or whatever, might never ever find that safety in allowing their full potential. So it's not that I think that their purpose was to be
Something
in
else.
trauma. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just one path that many people get stuck in, right? They don't see that they could choose another path. Whereas for me, when I came out of the fashion industry, I sort of stopped focusing on things to manifest. And my intention became, I wanted freedom, which I knew. And I knew that shortly after, like looking into what freedom really is, that freedom was only going to come from my full self-expression. So that became my intention, right? So that's very different than I want $1 million or I want a dream house. But all of that abundance and those things happen for me when I align and allow myself to be fully self-expressed. So I feel like that intention could be, right now, it's to teach this. You know what I mean? But in a few years, it might be to teach something else. It might be to open a restaurant. It might be, you know what I mean? Like I really believe that there was a time in fashion where when I first went into Banana Republic. I don't know if you guys have Banana Republic there. It's a big US brand here. And I was their first real handbag designer. And I had so much freedom, but financially, creatively. They were just like, we want to create a handbag line. You're going to do it. Start. And I was in heaven for a year maybe. And then until they started bringing other people in, but it was just so freeing. And that's where I really got a taste of what it was like to really follow my inspiration and live that full creative expression. And I was very expansive during that whole time. And part of what sent me into the red zone and into burnout was that I started to lose that. And I wasn't aware that just following my inspiration was all I had to do. I started to, to think that, oh no, these other people are getting involved and sales is getting involved and they're taking away my freedom. And it started to drive me, into the masculine, which created the burnout. But it was really, that was my purpose at that time. So I feel like if you're always living in or following through with your inspiration or following through, what you need to do in the moment, you're going to be, that is one destiny. That is the destiny of your highest self, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's a choice to live that destiny, whereas I don't have to follow my inspiration and I can do what I think I should do versus what I really want to do. And that creates another destiny. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So where can people get in touch with you, Susan? Where can people get to know you a little more, check out your courses? Where's the best place for that?
Yeah, so you can follow my website is easydoesit.com, and that's EASE-Y doesit.com. So it's like ease-y because that's different than easy. And on Facebook, I'm just facebook.com. I am Susan F /I am Susan F, or Susan Ferraro on Facebook, and Instagram. It's the same at I am Susan F. And you can come. I do Q's for Suze often on Instagram, and then I have the Easy Does It podcast, which is on iTunes and most of the platforms.
No, I really want to thank you today. It's been an inspiring chat and conversation.
You.
Yeah, and and I feel like really beneficial to just, ripple effect, to get that out there.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and helping people that come from that deeper soul place to really understand that it is more of a reflection and giving to yourself first is,
It becomes so much easier when you start doing it that way.
Yeah.
Feels
No,
better.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.